What's up, you handsome devils? Now, I am in the middle of the best Uber earnings project I have done to date, checking in on whether or not Uber is worth it in 2024. There's a couple wrinkles in it that I think make it particularly interesting. I'm doing some full-on deep dive journalistic work here, so, props to me. Now, I'm still in the thick of this project. I'm still working on it. I haven't come to any conclusions yet, but there were two particular days where I was working and I realized something that I had to share with you guys, because this is just Uber has hit. I don't know if Uber has hit a new low or if it's just that I'm realizing it now. So last Sunday, I drove for exactly 1 hour and 34 minutes. Like I said, I'm doing this project. I'm tracking everything down to the minute, down to the mile, so I can have the most accurate information for you guys. I was planning on driving longer, but it was as dead as a doornail. I just knew that I wasn't really making any money. But what I didn't know when I crunched the numbers is that I was actually literally losing money. Okay, I guess not literally, like I didn't lose the money. I hate when people overuse the term literally. But anyway, as far as the numbers are concerned, it was a net negative, and I'm going to show you why. So in total, I made $24.78 in a little over an hour and a half, which sure, that works out to be almost $16 an hour. But I'm sure everybody by now knows that $16 an hour driving for Uber is not actually $16 an hour, since you're responsible for the car and the gas and the maintenance that comes along with it. But what does that actually look like? What does that actually translate to when you break down the numbers that come along with the maintenance costs? Now, if you're like me, and I know for sure that the majority of drivers out there are, you look at the number that you spend on gas, and that's an easy deduction. And then the number for maintenance is kind of this like abstract dark cloud in the sky that isn't actually there, and you don't know if it's ever going to be there, and you'll deal with that. You'll cross that bridge if and when it comes. Kind of holding your breath, hoping that it doesn't, because after all, you're using your personal vehicle. It's not like you think about your car maintenance or your car's depreciation every time you drive to the beach or the grocery store or the gym. It's your personal vehicle. That's why you have it, to use it. So it's sort of like, yeah, the maintenance is an expense, but it's really just an expense down the road when I do my taxes, or when it's inspection time and the mechanic says I need to do this, that, or the other. And at the end of the day, I'm Ubering because I need cash now, so I'm going to subtract the gas, and then I'm going to look at what I earned, and that's that. Well, my friends, I want to challenge you to worry about that bridge right here, right now, and really get a sense of what you're actually earning. Because, like I said, I've been working on this earnings project, and the math ain't mathin', man. When I look at the numbers of what Uber is today in 2024, it's not a good outlook. And of course, we all knew it wasn't as good as it was, and I think we all kind of know that it's not great. But much to my surprise, when I actually looked at the numbers, 2 out of my last 5 days driving, I actually lost money, and I'm going to explain how that is. I'm going to break down both days, and make sure you stick around for the second day, because there's a little caveat that I'm excited to share with you guys. And shout out to Brandon WC for this comment that he left. It was on a video about how Ubering has essentially destroyed my car, and on a total side note, thank you all very much for your input, but I am still holding firm on my position on oil changes being a complete and utter scam. But I digress. Here's what Brandon said. That's why the tax deduction is 65 cents per mile. That's $65,000 on your 100,000 miles. You should be banking that after gas and scheduled maintenance for a big car expense, like a fixing or getting a new car. Only the money you make after that is profit or salary. Now, if you've driven for Uber before, if you've had a car for business, I'm sure you're familiar with the mileage write-off. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, no judgment. That's what we're here for. Every year, the IRS designates a certain amount of money that you can write off for every mile that you've driven for business purposes. The 65 cents Brandon mentioned was from last year, 2023. In 2024, it's going to be 67 cents for every mile. Now, something I've always scratched my head about the 67 cents is not that it's not arbitrary, but I just think it's kind of funny that, it's for the entire country. The IRS researches it, and it has to do with gas prices and maintenance costs and just what they believe to be the cost of maintaining a vehicle per mile in that tax year. But the funny thing to me is like, of course, gas prices are different in every state, but same with a mechanic. A mechanic in New York City is going to be different than a mechanic in Mississippi, And I bring that up because in theory, I guess, you would like to think the rideshare apps like Uber and Lyft account for that in their fares, but from what I've seen online and what I've experienced in real life, it has absolutely nothing to do with the cost of living and everything to do with what's best for their bottom line. Jersey is a perfect example of that. This weekend, I'm going to head down the shore, just like everybody else in the Philadelphia area, for Memorial Day weekend. And the Jersey Shore has the highest rates in my market. But if I were to go just a little bit inland to Vineland, which is literally the biggest city in New Jersey, it's going to have the lowest rates in the market. So a ride at the Jersey Shore would be considerably more than what I get paid in Philadelphia, but a ride 20 minutes from the Jersey Shore would be considerably less than what I get paid in Philadelphia. It makes absolutely no sense. But what Brandon's comment made me think of doing, which I feel kind of dumb for never doing this before, is track my miles after a night of driving, times that mileage amount by 67 cents, and then subtract that from my earnings of the night. I mean, you're essentially looking at your earnings the way the government's going to look at your earnings on tax day. It's not an exact thing because you don't know what exact maintenance will be in your future, but it's sort of a way to evaluate the health of your business, so to speak. And I say business because every time Uber and Lyft try to pitch this thing as drivers operating their own business, it makes me throw up in my mouth a little bit, but more on that later. So on the day I earned $24.78, I drove a total of 43 miles. I'd say half of that was my fault. I chased a surge, which I knew it was what I call a phantom surge, basically. I honestly believe that sometimes Uber portrays a surge that isn't actually there just to pull drivers to different parts of the map. And then when they get there or they get close to it, the surge disappears. I mean, it makes no sense. It could be like, $7.50 or $10. And then the second I get close, it's just absolutely gone. It doesn't even dissipate down to $3 or $1.25. It makes absolutely no sense. And I would even go so far to bet that not every driver sees the surge on their map, as in it doesn't even exist for them on their map. Like, drivers in that area already aren't getting the surge rate. To be clear, that's total speculation, but if I had no morals and didn't care at all about the well-being of my drivers, which are two qualities that Uber has shown time and time again it fully possesses, that's what I would do. Long story long, I fell for it. So well played, Uber. I gotta give you that. On top of that, there were two rides that were kind of far away to begin with, but I accepted them because I wasn't getting any other options, and both of them canceled while I was on my way there, and I wasn't close enough to get the cancellation fee. So that's miles spent driving that I didn't get paid for. So that's to say I was a bit unlucky this Sunday morning, but last I checked, credit card companies don't take unlucky as an excuse when you don't pay your bill on time. Oh, and I also want to add, I had Uber and Lyft open, so it was just completely dead. Sunday morning used to be like my favorite day to work, but I think now the market is just so oversaturated with drivers that it's just impossible to find rides. So anyway, if I apply the 67 cent per mile write-off rule to my Sunday morning, that means, according to the U.S. government, it cost me $28.81 to operate my vehicle, which translates to my net income being negative $4.03. For an hour and a half of work, I was essentially paying $3 an hour to work Uber. Not getting, paying. Now, before I show you the second day I lost money and share the fun little caveat that comes with it, I have to address the people that I know are going to say, well, it's a business and businesses are supposed to have write-off expenses that make it look like they're not earning a lot on paper for tax purposes. And yes, that's true. for businesses that are actually businesses. But calling driving Uber a business is like having a strawberry Pop-Tart and saying that you ate fruit. It's not. Don't even get me started. I could make a whole video on this, and honestly, I just might, but there are so many factors that make it so obvious that it's not actually a business. And honestly, you're not actually even an independent contractor. You can't set your own prices. It's not scalable. You can't build relationships or get the same rider again, at least not legally. And the only asset you'll ever own, your car, will not only never gain value, but it literally depreciates faster than average by the very nature of the activity you're engaging in. It's not a real business because there is absolutely zero chance you make more money than what you're making now unless Uber decides to take less of a cut, which don't hold your breath. And I'm not saying this to discourage any drivers. I'm just saying this because I want people to know what they're getting into. I'm so sick and tired of Uber and Lyft portraying this as if this is your own business and as if it is sustainable and as if it is your team working together. I mean, we're over 10 years into this rideshare revolution, and we're still seeing the kind of numbers that I saw today when I took another loss. Just this morning, I drove a total of 47 miles and made $29.73. And if I was driving my regular car, a little bit of foreshadowing, those 47 miles would have translated to $31.49 according to the IRS in gas and maintenance. That means in theory, it cost me, again, not got me, it cost me $1.76 to work Uber this morning. And just to be totally transparent with you guys, literally right before I was about to export and upload this video, somebody on the Uber app from one of these rides tipped me. So if you see the net fare, it's the $29.73, but a $3 tip did come in. So forgive the calculation being slightly off, but I think you guys get the point I'm trying to make. When you take into account that $3, it puts me in the black for $1.25. That is, if I was driving my own car. But here's the little surprise I have for you guys. Did I give it away? Can you guess? Say it with me. I was not driving my own car. I don't know if you've seen it in your market, but around here, Uber has been really pushing this rental program. At the end of the day, I think everyone knows Uber has a problem. They want to provide cheap rides in nice cars, but they need to pay their drivers not only enough to make a living, but also enough to drive nice cars for them to pick their passengers up in. Now, I know the rental program isn't new, but at least in my market, it seems like they've been pushing it a lot harder, so I wanted to test it out. Like anyone who has driven Uber for a while, I have very low expectations of this company setting up their drivers to be in a winning situation. But I'm trying to keep an open mind, and I'm going into this objectively and keeping track of all the numbers, and that's the beautiful thing about this stuff. Numbers don't lie. So I'm excited to share with you guys the results. Let me know in the comments if you guys have done an Uber rental program, be it a Tesla or any other vehicle. And also let me know if there's anything in particular I should look out for while doing this project. You know, something to take into account so when I post a video, I'm not like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that. That's definitely an added expense or an added time spend or whatever it is. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I want to challenge you to worry about that bridge right here, right now. Right here, right now. So corny.